Hey everyone, welcome to Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences video podcast. I am Heather Hoops Matthews here in the studio today in South Carolina and joined remotely by Lauren DeMoss, a Maynard Nexon healthcare attorney in Alabama. Lauren, good to be with you.
Thanks so much, Heather. It's great to be here.
We are excited to have two guests join us today. We're joined by Chief Investment Officer Alan Moise and Senior Vice President of Operations Tate Stewart, both from Thrive Senior Living, a dynamic and high-growth operator of next-generation senior housing communities. As leaders of Thrive, Alan and Tate oversee all aspects of corporate growth and operations for the growing organization. Alan and Tate, thank you so much for being with us today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Can you both talk about, and Alan, maybe you start us off by telling us more about Thrive, if you two can cover the mission and the company's fresh perspective on senior living that is different than maybe traditionally what we've come to know.
I'd love to. Yeah, so we're a privately held company, and we're based in Atlanta, Georgia, and we started in 2008. And if anyone remembers, 2008 was kind of a tumultuous time, especially in real estate. But we really started as a developer. And with that first project, we fell in love with the operations of the property management side of the business. And from there, began to really think of ourselves as a property manager and not a developer. But we've grown through development. We've done 32 ground up deals since then.
Wow.
Mostly on the East Coast, kind of branching out into Texas as well.
That's impressive. Tate, how's it different?
What I would say about our philosophy and how we differ is that in senior living, it can be a very rigorous business, and so there's very, very tight budgets and very high demand, very high demand service to investors, to families, to team members, and a lot of times the people at the heart of the business, I think, are I don't want to say forgotten about, but not always put first. And so really our philosophy as an organization has been that it really, really begins with people, and specifically kind of the people at the heart of the business. So our hourly team members that are face-to-face interacting with the residents every day, and then the residents themselves. And so we really think about those two groups of people kind of being the ultimate point of service for our organization, and the idea of building community around those people, right? So the just a belief in the significance of community for humans, right? Whether you're an older adult or whether you're a frontline team member, most people need more community and can benefit from more community and more people who really care about them and really asking questions and trying to understand them, and as well as deploying resources to support them. And so everything we do is really a kind of a relentless pursuit of building community around those two groups of people. And that's maybe sounds very simple at its core, but can really have a profound impact in the lives of those people. And so I think that's what set us apart as an organization, and we've seen that in our kind of key metrics and our growth over the years. And so that focus on people, I believe, is the differentiator for Thrive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Tate, because you think about what you all are doing within that industry. It's very high touch, very human to human kind of interaction, whereas maybe some industries are kind of moving away from that, in today's world. So that is putting an emphasis on that makes a whole lot of sense. So Thrive offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care communities. So kind of the full spectrum of care. Can you kind of talk about the different approaches you maybe have with respect to one of those in particular? Maybe it's memory care or assisted living, just to kind of delve further into the uniqueness in terms of the business model and how you all kind of approach this industry.
Yeah. So, and I may not say anything here that's not applicable to everyone else in the industry. To break down those three kind of core products, independent living is really lifestyle based, right? And so in independent living, we're really focused on how great the dining experience really is. So it really is meticulous focus and attention to detail on the dining experience and how well trained the servers are and how the place setting looks. And again, not that those things are ignored in the assisted living environment, but in independent living, you're really not offering a whole lot else, right? You're offering some nice real estate, and then you're offering dining, and you're offering a social life, so to speak, right? And so, really, in independent living, we're really a whole lot of focus on our dining programs, and then the social life and what that looks like, and whether that's through our own calendars and engagement programs, or whether that's through partnerships, or even just creating opportunities for our residents to come together and having good referral programs in place and truly building neighbors and doing a great job. In assisted living, really, there's always some sort of need. And what I mean by that is that there's needs of the potential resident or the resident that have to be met somewhere, right? And there are other options to senior living, whether that's, you know, a loved one caring for you or having some sort of in-home care. Now, those are really our biggest competitors in this industry, is some sort of support system at home, which can be very difficult. But regardless, someone's meeting the needs of these individuals. And so, you know, that's where we're really focusing on partnerships with healthcare professionals, providing our own services for, you know, we don't do anything that's actually medical, but a lot of those things happen in our community. So that's where you really think about how important it is to build great infrastructure, great partnerships. And it's really difficult to, there's a lot of challenges with caring for older people in the world that we live in. And so our job at the very tip of our spear is providing those non-medical activities, you know, that support the resident. But then it's also ensuring that we really build great partnerships and do a great job of working with our providers and sometimes holding them accountable, selecting great partnerships that continue to build support around those people. And so that really is our focus in assisted living. And then in memory care, we add to that three core focuses. So one is on the environment itself and ensuring that it's stimulating enough for someone who has changing cognitive abilities, but also has the ability to not be overstimulating for people. And so really focusing on that environment. And then the engagement is much different. It's highly specialized in a memory care community. And so put a lot of focus into engagement and truly how to interact with people the right way, and how to build connection and create a healthy social experience for residents in those neighborhoods. And then the third thing is safety. And so, you know, there are challenges that they may not remember, not to drink something or not to walk out a certain door. And so it's providing safety too. So it's whether it's locked cabinets or locked doors, it's ensuring that environment is safe as well.
When you say all those things, it makes me think about you just have such an opportunity to love and serve well. And when you do it well, I mean, that you must be, if you're growing at the rate that Alan, that you said at the beginning, it's good to hear. This next question, you know, I wouldn't have envisioned maybe talking about AI with you. We hear it a lot on our from life sciences companies and other healthcare providers, but you guys were early adopters. And back in 2019, you partnered with Ava Health to design and transform, kind of how people interact and live within your facilities. So can you talk about that and how that might be improving AI might be improving the lives of the people you serve?
Yeah, I would actually love to start by maybe going back a little bit further and talking about our relationship and sort of philosophy when it comes to technology use in our communities. We've always been willing to pilot new programs. We've always been early adopters. I would say culturally, each of us as individuals within the company tend to lean towards, being on the front edge of the use of technology, even in our personal lives. And so it's been natural for us, even since the very beginning, to want to incorporate that into both resident facing and team member facing and corporate infrastructure facing technologies that are emerging. And it's what's interesting is our industry has historically kind of been behind many of the other real estate, these sort of operational real estate types like hotels and multifamily. And so a lot of the technologies that you'll hear us talk about as being new and innovative are actually old hat for, the big hotel operators. Our first community in 2008, going back to my comment earlier, we brought in whole house Wi-Fi, and that was barely being done back then. We started bringing in RFID door hardware, which was being done in the hotel industry, but not being done in senior living. So we began experimenting with and adopting new technologies. Now, where that brought us to in 2019, was the emergence of AI, was testing out this system with Ava, which I'll let Tate speak to. But even prior to then, there's always been this ambition to have a system that runs the whole building, that talks with all of the other devices, computes that in a software, is resident facing, reports information back to us. We're testing a lot of those products right now. I would say the industry has been working on that for 10 years, maybe longer. Tate, do you want to speak maybe to our experience specifically with Ava and how we're using artificial intelligence today?
Yeah, I wasn't intricately involved in the Ava project. I know, to be honest, on the user side and at the community side, I would say Ava was a failure. So we did not widely adopt it. We did not see any, remarkable benefits from it. Fast forward though to 2024, and at that point in time that we were implementing Ava, there were not really well-funded, well-resourced, experienced companies running at software for senior living. But fast forward to 2024, and there are, given the wave of baby boomers really becoming evident and all the literature that's starting to emerge on the business opportunity that exists, there are very sophisticated individuals and companies and lots of dollars pointed at the development. And you can see the difference, because the products that we're evaluating right now would be right at home on my personal iPhone, right? So they're apps and they're software systems that are very easy to use, very intuitive, very well designed. And you were talking with developers who used to work for Facebook and are now working on this, and so you really see the difference that what's happening. And so there are some really incredible technologies emerging right now. Whatever, really, at the end of the day, what everyone's trying to go after is really being able to predict future state and be ahead of the curve and understand when conditions are changing and be able to understand behavioral patterns and that kind of thing with residents. But there's a lot of different ways that people are going after that. And so there's a lot of really interesting products right now that are emerging. There's two areas that we're really interested in as a company. And one of them is in fall detection software. And so there's a lot of different products right now, radar-based, camera-based, a plethora of products. And so we have selected a partner. We're in the middle of project management implementation right now on a fall detection project. And then we're also working on call response systems. So it ties into fall detection, but today they're different. So it is two different systems. But, the analytics around whenever a resident needs something, they press a button, and now somebody comes to try and fulfill that need, that request. What was that request? How long did it take us to fulfill it? Did we know about it when the resident moved into our community? Did we capture it in a care plan or in a service plan of some sort, so we can be proactive in providing that if it's going to be a recurring need? So there's so much opportunity around those things. And so we've also selected a partner on a very advanced system on the nurse call side that is already been installed in one of our pre-open communities right now. And whenever residents move in, that system will go live. And so we're excited about those two systems. But one thing that differentiates those systems from anything else that we've implemented in the past is that, and is one thing that we looked for in our filters of technology that we want to use going forward, is that they come with very high touch, albeit very expensive, very high touch, ongoing service contracts. And so these companies don't just implement it, hand you the technology package, and walk away. So there's actually a really robust service industry being built around some of this technology as well, because I think people learn from things like Ava and realize, was the technology not good or the implementation not good, or both? And we do have, even in the best companies, there's still a high turnover, right? These are very large teams at the community level, oftentimes upwards of 100 people. And so then on the resident side, there's also turnover there, right? And so average length of stay around 2 years, and even 3 years, 4 years, there's still a lot of turnover that happens in the community. So there's a constant training, onboarding, adoption that has to be going on. So when you think about advanced software systems with people that haven't used it before, may not even be used to using it, there's a lot that goes into that. And so we selected these two companies based on that ongoing service. And so both of them have similar models where there's a monthly reporting and calls and analytics that their professionals are providing. And so I think that's going to make a big difference for getting over the hurdle of implementation with some of these software systems.
Yeah, Tate, that makes sense. Think about your industry and AI, wanting the predictive kind of capabilities of it. And that's kind of difficult in your industry in terms of the different communities and I'm thinking maybe as the baby boomers, as you kind of alluded to, begin to take advantage of the industry, maybe there'll be better data to actually analyze, right? In terms of longer term, and really see the benefit of using some of the predictive capabilities of AI. Kind of switching gears a little bit, and Alan, maybe this is more for you, but consolidation and M&A activity continues to be a huge part of the healthcare industry generally, but also in your space. Can you talk to us a little bit about Thrive's growth strategy and development, or maybe trends you're seeing and what maybe the next 5 to 10 years holds?
Sure. Yeah, we are seeing it's still a very fragmented industry. If you think about the operators in the space, there's a huge contingent of operators who operate less than 10 communities, less than 5 communities. And it is still a very high-touch, localized business from a property management standpoint. So the best operators really think locally and really are either regional operators, or if they're larger, they've thought about how to create more sort of local operating teams, so that each community really does develop its own personality and can cater to that local environment. It's not like choosing your favorite hotel brand every time you travel a couple times a month. You make this decision one time. So those national brands really only have value to the extent that there's trust associated with that brand. It's not value in the sense that you're going back to, make a purchase frequently. And so because of that, the industry has stayed fairly fragmented. With that, we are beginning to see some more operator consolidation. A lot of that's driven by the public healthcare REITs and operators desiring to create economies of scale. Thrive has chosen to grow at a property level as opposed to kind of corporate M&A. So we continue to seek to develop new communities in select markets in the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. And we are looking at growth through some acquisitions, which has been a small part of our history. But in today's environment, there was a lot of development in the last kind of cycle in the late 2010s. And even in the last couple of years. And so we've had some pretty interesting opportunities to buy newer buildings that would fit the design standards that we hold, because as a development oriented operator, we're used to running new buildings. And so we tend to sort of design our operating model around that. I'll say we've never built the same building twice. And so we take a very custom approach to every community. And so because of that, we are able to look at acquisitions from maybe a different lens than our peers.
Another version of growth here, people age 85 and over, the population growth is supposed to double by 2040, which, is apparently probably good news for your industry. Alan and Tate, as we wrap up here, tell us how Thrive and maybe also how the industry is preparing for this influx of baby boomers.
Yeah, so there's a lot of conversation going right now. I don't think that anyone believes we can satisfy the demand for assisted living simply by building new units. There is going to have to be solutions for residents in the home or in existing living environments. That being said, if you look at it across the nation today, only 10% of age and income qualified people live in assisted living today, 10%. So even holding that number steady as the baby boomers increase, we still can't satisfy the demand by building new units. Now, one caveat to this is affordability, and that's one of the biggest topics. If you look at the generation that's coming and the current generation, when I say age and income qualified, that's a major statement because assisted living is very expensive and it's not affordable for a significant portion of the population. And so there is a lot of industry dialogue right now on how do we either build for or buy and create a product for the middle market. The missing middle, as our industry has been calling it now for a few years. So there are some ideas out there. There are some operators that are targeting that. There are some operators who have even created middle market brands and are pursuing a strategy for serving that population. But what's being built today, because of the cost of construction, what's being built today is really only for kind of the top tier income bracket customer. And so the middle market is really the biggest gap. Tate, what would you add to that from a consumer standpoint?
No, I think you covered it. The baby boomers are going to look for a different product, I think is the other big conversation in our industry. And so I would say on the service side, it's more pliable, right? It's easy enough if they have different interests to create different opportunities within the community and create a different calendar and create different partnerships. But if they want different locations or different physical spaces, I think that's a bigger challenge. And so I think, some of the communities today and the communities that are being built currently, I think that's another big part of the puzzle is, again, I think it's easier to adopt on the customer service side, but might be harder to adopt on what they're going to be looking for in their living environment. So that's amenities or floor plans or those sort of things. So I know that's another big topic in our industry as well.
Well, you have big challenges and big opportunities ahead of you, but it sounds like you're okay with technology and innovation. So I have no doubt that you guys are going to find a path forward. On behalf of Lauren and the whole team here at Taking the Pulse, Alan Moise, Tate Stewart, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
For those of you who listened, we hope you learned a little bit more about Thrive and also about the industry of serving an aging population. On behalf of Lauren, Matthew, and the team behind the scenes, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time right here on Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences video podcast.